Yeah. Okay, quick sound check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Eggs and bacon. Okay. All right. We're good? All right. Good morning and aloha, everyone. Thank you for joining us. And thank you for being here today. Lieutenant Governor Sylvia Luke, serving as acting governor, will sign her first bill into law. That is House Bill 934, which establishes the State Broadband Office within the Department of Accounting and General Services, or DAGS. It also allocates funding for digital navigator programs based at public libraries across the state. Facilitated Q&A with the media will follow promptly after the press conference, and then we'll move to a formal bill signing and a photo opportunity shortly after. So without further ado, it's my privilege to welcome Acting Governor Sylvia Luke.
Good afternoon and aloha. Thank you for joining us here today. With the blessing of Governor Green, I am deeply honored to sign my first bill as acting governor. This bill is especially important to me because it is essential for the success of Connect Kako, our initiative for high-speed, reliable internet service throughout the state of Hawaii. with the signing of House Bill 934, Hawaii is taking a necessary step toward a future where every resident, regardless of geography, regardless of age or income, can connect to and use affordable, reliable broadband internet to access education, healthcare, and economic opportunity. This law not only lays the groundwork for much needed services, it also helps ensure Keiki through Kupuna acquire the skills and support they need to use the internet to improve their daily lives. It's about giving more internet options to that tutu in Pauilo who cannot rely on her spotty internet connection for her health care and telehealth appointment. It's about a job seeker in Hanapepe trying to fill out an online application but gets stuck when the website only accepts a specific file format. And it's about an uncle in Waimanalo who just got a brand new tablet and wants to go online to do online banking but doesn't know where to start. These are real examples and real barriers that our communities face every day. And this bill supports strategic broadband coordination and digital skills to improve the lives of people from all walks of life. With the Broadband Office under the Department of Accounting and General Services, we can now better align the office with broader strategic technology management and governance. Furthermore, the allocations aligned in this bill will have a greater impact on the future of the Digital Navigators program, which completed a successful pilot in 2023 thanks to the efforts of the State Librarian Stacy Aldrich. I want to take a moment to thank those who made this legislation possible. Senator Lindy Coit and Representative Gregor Iligan for championing this bill, and the legislature, including Speaker Nakamura, who is here today. Mahalo for supporting this bill. Thanks to Chung Chang and his office, Hawaii Strategic Broadband Coordinator. Mahalo to State Librarian Stacy Aldrich and so many others in the library system who helped the successful Navigator system. Garrett Yoshimi, present here, Vice President for Information Technology and Chief Information Officer of the University of Hawaii. DAG's Comptroller, Keith Reagan, who is also present, and the Broadband Working Group for their tireless effort and work, ensuring that everyone in Hawaii has a fair shot and connection, participation, and success. I'll now turn it over to Stacy Aldrich, Hawaii State Librarian, to talk a little bit about the Hawaii Digital Navigators program.
Aloha and good morning, and thank you, Acting Governor Luke. We appreciate all of your support for libraries and also connecting our communities. We know that in this digital age, we have to be invested in making sure everybody has connectivity, but also that they have the skills that they need to connect to the world around them. And so for public libraries across the state, we're dedicated to helping our communities, and we did a pilot project, which I think this bill will build off of, for digital navigators in about 7 of our libraries, where people could come in and make an appointment with one person and have a one-on-one session with them to learn the things that they needed to learn or to update their skills. It was a very successful program, and we're very excited now because we're now working on a project to expand that program across the state, and we look forward to working with our sister agencies on making sure that people have more access to people who can help them get the skills they need to be successful. And again, thank you so much, and it's my honor to introduce Speaker Nakamura, who has been so supportive of libraries. Thank you so much for being here today.
Aloha, good morning or afternoon. I represent District 15 on the island of Kauai, from Wailua River all the way to Hanalei, and I represent many rural districts throughout my district. And I'm excited to be here and very honored to be asked by Lieutenant Governor to present today on behalf of the State House of Representatives. there's a lot of thought and effort that went behind this bill. And I'm excited because I learned during the pandemic that there are many people without internet access and access to high-speed broadband connection on my island, and I'm sure throughout the state. These are residents of Hawaii who were laid off from jobs and could not access unemployment insurance benefits, people who could not access other state and county benefits. And also for students who either did not have access to the internet or whose families could not afford the cost of that internet connection. And so that's why this bill is so important, because it helps to level the playing field. It helps to lift families up and have access to resources over the internet that many of us take for granted. I'm most excited about the digital navigator positions that will be expanded throughout our state through our public libraries, and what just an incredible resource that we have. And by placing the navigators through our libraries, we can do so much and expand more to touch many more lives. So I just want to recognize and thank Lieutenant Governor Sylvia Luke and Senate and House committee chairs in economic development who helped to get this bill through the finish line. And thanks for all who had a part in making this bill, Stacy especially, a reality. Thank you.
And our final speaker before Q&A is Beth Rasmussen, a digital navigator user.
Hello, and thank you so much for inviting me. I was a participant of this program, and I am an enthusiastic supporter of it. I had learned computers by myself. I had dug in and asked questions of people, but I never had any one specific person to ask. So when this digital navigator program came along, I jumped right in and spent the entire program. The first time I participated was to go down to the Kailua Library, and everyone had a laptop. Well, I didn't have a laptop. So the person who was directing the program said, well, can you Zoom? And I had figured out how to Zoom. So she told me I could Zoom on my own computer. Well, that was fantastic, because you know how every computer is a little bit different. So you try to ask somebody and they try to explain, and you think, I'm never going to figure this out. But to have somebody right there with your computer saying, go over here, touch this, do that, do this, it was fantastic. So I would say there were so many gaps that these instructors filled for me, that things that I never really understood, what the difference was between this word and that word. Even though I was using these things, I didn't know what they were called, and so many other things. But the two things that really, really helped me so much in my own personal life was being able to create a file. Now, I know that sounds terribly simple, but how do you do it when you have no idea? The computer says create a file, and then what? Then what? You know, you stand there and you think, okay, what are the next direction come? Well, I got to move all my pictures over to the computer. They taught me how to do that, how to create a file, how to label a file, how to change the label of a file, how to delete pictures, and many other things. And one other thing that was especially important for me personally in just keeping myself and my life running smoothly was to be able to respond to somebody in an email through my own text. You know, they send an email, they ask a question, and how do you answer them without cutting and texting and creating another email, and then you destroy the thread and you're trying to look for that email, and it's so frustrating. So she taught me how to text right back to that person through their email. At the point that the program ended, I was beginning to redo my resume because I was looking for a job, and it ended, and I was just heartbroken Not that I couldn't do the resume, but it was just such a wonderful opportunity for anybody that has any level of skill in a computer to be able to jump in and have an actual person to ask these questions of. So I am so delighted to hear that the program is going to be resumed, and I thank everybody who worked on it, and I thank the Lieutenant Governor for signing this bill and for the library for reinstituting this wonderful program. Thank you.
All right, we'll open it up for Q&A, starting with Hawaii News Now.
I just had a couple questions. First one for Stacy is how many navigators do you have now? How many hope to have more? And how does someone get a navigator? Because it sounds like a
For the live stream, the question is, how many navigators do you have now? How many are you hoping for, and how would they become involved with this?
So currently we are at 0 because we're starting over again from the pilot project. So we have an RFP out right now looking for community members to see if they want to help us to create this program. And we hope to eventually have 51. We'll start with a small cohort, but we'd like to make sure that we have navigators in every branch across the state so that everybody has the same opportunities to learn.
I had a question for the LG too. You know, with the federal cuts from the Trump administration, has your office been able to communicate with the Trump administration regarding what $6 million in cuts to your agenda?
The question is regarding federal cuts from the Trump administration and the state's response.
When we talk about broadband, we talk about it in reference to a three-legged stool. You need the infrastructure, which is all the lines, all the undersea cable. The second thing is you need devices, like the ones that Beth described. The third thing is the know-how, and this is where the navigator system is really important. And as you referenced, the $6 million in the digital equity funding was cut. We are continuing to discuss with our Attorney General's office and the various different federal and state agencies about how to move forward. But that was just part of the funding. The entire broadband funding is close to $400 million, and this amount, the Digital Navigator program, is coming from a different pot, which is the BEAD funding.
The question is about the $400 million in federal funding and if any of that is up in the air, undecided.
Thanks for the question. I know there's a lot of questions and anxiety about what's happening to a lot of the federal funds. The federal funds, there are different pockets of money when it comes to broadband, and it's not just amounts that will be going to state departments. There are private providers that have been able to secure federal funding, and I wanted to ask Garrett Yoshimi to explain a little bit further about the largest portion of that federal funds.
Thanks, LG. To add to what Senator Governor Luke has already said, you know, as those of you that know that have been dealing with the federal funding sources, I mean, particularly over the last several months and years, so it's a bit of a moving target right now, and we are working very closely with the individual funding agencies to make sure that we, number one, fully understand the nature of the changes to the program, as well as make sure that the state's priorities are preserved as we go through the effort. You know, there's still potential changes to happen in the future, but we need to make sure that the top three priorities, as LG has indicated, including the know-how piece, are preserved within the state strategy to execute forward. So TBD, you know, still a work in progress, but we do have lots of eyes on it to make sure that we can preserve the priorities going forward.
can you provide an update to, or should I? Can you provide maybe a more specific update on Connect Kako and maybe providing internet to underserved communities?
Thanks. Again, I'll add a little bit of additional detail. So the Connect Kako program is really an umbrella program that brings all of these programs together. So the elements that are funded within the various parts of the programs include some undersea cable activity to provide additional connectivity between our islands, critically important for a state like Hawaii, but as well as the connections to individual households, and then also the supports to make sure that the internet access is really high value to the community as a whole. Number of different programs provisioned underneath the existing federal programs. So we have treasury funds, commerce funds that are all mixed together so that we can make sure that the state's interests together are properly funded. Hopefully that answers it. There is some additional information available at the Connect Kako website. And then again, as the situation evolves over the coming months and years, we'll keep the website updated to make sure that folks know what's going on.
Can you provide, I guess, the public like a quick or next like major milestone in the process?
Probably the next. So the question was, can we talk about the next major milestone? The next, probably largest piece related to some of the funding activity is to establish the contracts to do the significant build-outs for the both the middle mile and last mile components. We had originally anticipated this to happen in the back half of this calendar year. We think it's going to be still in that time frame, but the time frame is part of the things that are being adjusted right now by the Commerce Department. So hopefully soon. I know everybody's been waiting for a very long time to hear what those. When am I going to get it in my neighborhood? So that's part of the announcements we expect to see later this year.
The only thing is, I guess you can explain a little bit more what this navigator means. Simplify version.
Yeah. So what the navigator means is there are so for instance, these are people who can help regular folks figure out how to use the internet. And internet is really daunting, even for myself. There's certain programs that I don't really know, and how do you attach a file or how do you convert it to PDF? These are simple things that some people might know, like my son might know, but my mother would not be able to figure it out. So instead of asking for your family members or calling my son all the time, we can direct our relatives to the library system, and you can make an appointment. And these programs will be available through phone or in-person visit, even through the weekends. These are the things that we're talking about.
Any further questions?
When do you hope the next navigator phase to be implemented? So when people see the story, they want to know when they get this.
We're hoping by fall we'll have the navigator. We'll have some navigators in some of our branches. I would also like to remind folks that our libraries are helping people navigate the internet all of the time, and they're there to help you now. But what's special about the navigators is they're completely focused on you and your question and can give you some dedicated time. But our libraries are always helping. I'm so proud of our librarians who've been helping folks since the internet started. So you can always ask a librarian, but we are looking forward to having these navigators and starting sometime in the fall. Thank you.
And as a reminder, you can visit connectcalco.org to learn more about the High-Speed Internet Initiative. So this concludes our press conference, and we will move to the formal bill signing. I'd like to invite all of our Connect Kako partners in attendance to join LG behind this table, and we'll proceed with the bill signing.
thanks to the governor and his policy team, they loaned us these governor official signing pens. So thank you. Thanks, Dan and everybody. So it is my pleasure to sign House Bill 934. House Bill 934 is now law.